Hey, Rob from Order 42 here, and today we're going to be checking out another fan edit from The Hobbit, and in a way it seems like I've become the Hobbit fan edit review channel. But anyway, this is from an editor named M4, and this is M4's The Hobbit Extended Edition. So how does it stack up to the other ones? Let's find out. And yes, this again is well, it was suggested to me by one of you. One of you told me, in fact, it was Daniel at the movies, suggested that I check this version of The Hobbit out, and I have to say I was really impressed with it. Now, again, this is M4's version of The Hobbit, the Hobbit fan edit. He calls it the extended edition. He's been working on this for about a little over 2 years now, and the latest revision was published in the summer of 2021, which is where we are now. So yeah, I find a lot of his edits to be very in line with what the Hobbit book is, right? And what it's the I guess the feel of the Hobbit book. So from my standpoint, I think he really succeeded. One of the things I really enjoyed about reading through this was that it's very clear what M4's goals are here. And I mean, the number one, be more faithful to the Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. Yes, that's exactly what he's trying to do here. It's cool to see what their goals are, right? It's cool to see, what this is what I set out to do. Hopefully I did a good job, all those sorts of things, to have a consistent tone from being lighthearted to more serious, and then of course leading into Lord of the Rings. These are honestly, they're two separate stories. And the idea that there was so much fan service and stuff built around Lord of the Rings, what came before, into the, I guess, the theatrical and extended editions released by New Line, Peter Jackson's versions, I don't think they were as successful. So that's one of the things that I really appreciated. Maintain the professional film editing techniques. Yes, stay in Middle Earth as long as possible and never cut anything good or from the book purely from the sake of runtime. That's good. And then appeal to all Middle Earth and movie fans, regardless of your knowledge. And I think a lot of those things he did really well here. One of the changes that he made, or I guess one of the things he left in, is something that it kind of took me aback because it was something that I remember from the extended editions being kind of just extra, and it was the Goblin King and his sort of song, that he sings. And yes, that is in the book. That is part of the deal. So for me, it was a little strange to have that. Um, Also, the Eagles are back in, but if you remember the original theatrical version of the movie, there's they basically drop the dwarves and Gandalf and Bilbo off at sort of the top of this mountain. There's a big scene takes place. A lot of that is truncated, and the only problem with it is it feels truncated. Like, I'm not honestly sure what the best thing to do here is. Um, it's almost one of those things where I feel like, this fan edit that I watched did it this way, this fan edit did it this way, and this fan edit did it this way. And really, I kind of wish there was like a mixture of the three, but hey. There's also an intermission here at about the 1 hour and 45 minute mark. I think it's a little bit earlier than that. But there is an intermission, which is kind of interesting. I guess I just didn't expect it. But it does make sense because of the way that the first movie ends and the second movie begins. It's really hard to butt those up against each other without some sort of break. So it actually made sense, and it actually worked out pretty well, I think. I guess the escape from Mirkwood, right, with the barrels, that bothered me always. The first time I saw it, I'm like, oh God, what is this? Right? There's the weird smog and the dwarves and the chases throughout Erebor. There, I didn't really like that. I didn't like all of the what do you call it? Uh, Almost Jedi like Legolas scenes. I just didn't like all that, and a lot of that has been taken out almost completely. And I really appreciated that. And one of the things too is that there's a change toward the end of the movie, or I should say toward the end of the Smaug thing, where Bard enlists his son to help him basically in the original versions. That is different here. And I'll just say I really appreciated it. It for me it felt almost more in tone with the original cartoon back in the day, which I thought was kind of cool. And yeah, I don't want to go through every single scene and every single change that was made here, but there were a lot of changes, and most of them I completely completely agree with. Like, one of the things that really bothered me in the original versions of these movies was the extended edition, when the dwarves are making their way up to fight the big bad. I can't remember his name. Azog, right? Yeah, when they're on their way, there's this extended scene with gore, and like it's too much. It just felt like too much to me, and I didn't like that. That's taken out here. The only problem with it is that it seems very truncated, and I think if I had one specific thing that I could point to and say that that is the probably my biggest criticism for this edit, M4's edit, it's the fact that things feel a little bit truncated at times. Overall, I think M4 did a fantastic job. I mean, there's just, it's great. It really is. It really is great, and I enjoyed watching it. Like I said, there's a few things in the movie that feel like it's like, okay, we're skipping. You know what I mean? And that, like I said, that's the only part where it feels a little strange. And I think in that respect, I would probably rank this somewhere between Dustin Lee's The Maple Films original edit that I watched and Adam Den's version. All of them are really, I would say, vast improvements over the original editions, at least in my opinion. The only thing that I would say is, if you're more in line with what, like The Hobbit, the actual book, if you really want that, check out either M4's or Dustin Lee's the Maple Film edition of The Hobbit, their fan edits. And if you really like a lot of the action and stuff, like let's say, you say, hey, I really enjoy the Two Towers, the Helm's Deep scene in the Two Towers, right? I enjoy that. Watch Adam Den's version. You'll probably enjoy it. So The Hobbit is, the first Tolkien book that I ever read, and it's one of my favorites. In fact, I think I own the most copies of The Hobbit. But anyway, it's weird to think about all of these different editors have come to the same material, and they put their own spin on it, and they put their own they've brought themselves into it in to a certain extent. So I'm sort of curious, for those of you out there, which ones appeal to you the most? Do you lean more toward, being closer to the book itself, or are you saying, hey, let's have some fun with this, let's have some Radagast and some other stuff? Because I mean, let's be honest, Tolkien wrote a beautiful world, and it's fun to delve into a little bit of all of it. So I'm kind of curious. Like I said, let me know what you think, and we'll talk about it. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.